What are some things you've learned over the years about how to communicate and how to have that communication necessary to be successful with agile and development in general?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one thing that sometimes it's easier to know what to do right if you know what's wrong. So let me just start with a couple things that really don't work that people will probably try. Pointing a camera at a whiteboard is an absolutely terrible idea. Um, it seems like it's going to work, but the people watching can't see what you're writing, or you can't see the whole whiteboard, or you have to zoom in. Then you can't interact with each other face to face via the camera, of course. But um, yeah, so one thing to definitely avoid is trying to design a solution or use the sticky note approach like we used to do when you're all in the same room. So with that, what we need is tools around that process. And there have been tools that have already attempted to solve these problems. You have your base camps, you have your Kanban boards of, you know, Trello or GitHub pages or GitHub boards or Azure Dev boards or whatever. There's hundreds of different solutions available to you to try to figure out how to do a collaboration where you can basically all have the same screen. You can see who's typing notes, who's doing this. You can write your stories. You can have all of that information basically online, so then people can interact with each other that way. Um, People will have to remember that it'll be extremely important to tag people. I think that'll be a thing that people forget because with all of the change in communication for as I said earlier, for developers, we're kind of used to this. We've been doing it for a long time. But with a new person coming out of the office who's used to being able to just walk over to Mike's desk and say, "Hey, Mike, what's going on?" He won't have that, or she won't have that anymore, and they'll have to tag Mike because Mike's going to have so many other people doing things to Mike that he's not going to hear you and through all the noise unless you highlight it, or at least get some sort of way that all of your team members have a way to prioritize and know what they're supposed to be working on. And so again, using some sort of board or some sort of workflow management to do that, it's going to be really important. That will help with your communication because you'll be able to then look at that. We do daily stand-ups, and with daily stand-ups, it's different for every team I've ever worked on. Sometimes it's very straightforward, and sometimes it's actually quite involved. And so I think what you need to do as your team is just kind of to experiment a little bit, figure out, how do we use this time in the morning or in the afternoon, whatever your stand-up is, to really communicate effectively so that everybody has what they need, nobody's blocked. And, again, using tools to manage that and not expecting people to remember all this stuff. It's not like when you work in the office, you don't have the visual memory of talking directly with someone anymore. There's something weird about the video camera. It doesn't resonate the same way. It's just like when you first switch from reading a book to reading online, there's something different about it. You have to get used to it. And so, yeah, I think with that, building your processes around tools that already exist, and that also then opens the door for people to actually build better tools, right?